Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. If you're wondering what the Tesla thing Ashley and I did was, I will fill you in at the end of this video. Also, real quick, an apology in Thursday's episode. I made a mistake. I accidentally said that the investment tax credit on the commercial side for Megapack was going away in 2026, when the truth is it's just the foreign entity of concern requirements become more strict starting in 2026. Now, on the residential side for something like the Powerwall, the residential clean energy tax credit is going away in 2026, but for the Megapack on the commercial side, it'll still be there. It's just going to be harder to qualify through this phase out period. So again, my apologies on that one. Today, we need to make sure everybody is up to speed on some of the high level changes and part of this transformation that Tesla is going through right now. We'll start off with the situation in India. The configurator for Tesla has finally launched two trims to start, the rear wheel drive and then the long range RWD, with ranges of 500 and 622 kilometers. Then if you do the conversion to miles and convert from the WLTP, which is the cycle testing they use in India, to the EPA that we use in the US, that math would give you roughly 242 and 301 miles respectively for each of these vehicles on an EPA cycle. Just remember, as always, that cycle testing and the conversion metrics really are not going to give you something quite specific. The base price for these vehicles after the import taxes, $70,000 and $79,000 US. Deliveries will start later in Q3 for the rear wheel drive and then in Q4 for the long range rear wheel drive. Tesla will be in 3 cities to start and they'll add more over time. This is low-key a smart move by Tesla, but they also kind of have to. They're giving away a free wall connector with every purchase for now. It does not take a rocket scientist to figure out why Tesla is doing this. One quick look at the supercharger map and you'll see there are no superchargers in India. Zooming in on an area like Mumbai, you can see that yes, there are some in development and others will be opening soon. And here's a shot of New Delhi. So yeah, there's a bit of work to do. For me, this step by Tesla is purely to establish its presence and operations while building its brand as a luxury, desirable one that also happens to specialize in real-world AI and sustainable energy, where the energy prospects over the long run may be bigger than the auto market. For now, the word is these vehicles are coming from Giga Shanghai, which makes sense because that's where Tesla has the lowest cost of goods sold. Now, Tesla could invest $500 million in a factory in India to lower these import taxes to 15%, down from between 70 and 100% right now, and building a factory there would allow Tesla to sell 8,000 cars per year at that lower import rate. But for the next few weeks, Tesla knows there will be some pent-up demand, so it's going to take time to see what Tesla's steady state demand will be, with just 2 variants of the Model Y. But if I had to guess, I'd say more vehicles will be available and potentially some more affordable vehicles in the near future. FSD costs $7,200 in India. We'll see what type of capability Tesla actually deploys here and where it works. I say that because right now in India, FSD features are not yet approved for use on Indian roads and they're awaiting regulatory clearance. Officially, I have not seen anything of an expected timeline of when those features will be available. So Indian customers who buy FSD will have the hardware to be able to use FSD, but per the usual, it's being handicapped by regulations. But for the overall auto market from a sales perspective, I'm not overly confident this is going to be a huge steady state market, especially at this pricing with limited options. But as I said, for the first few months, the numbers might surprise to the upside thanks to that pent-up demand. Then once that's fulfilled, hopefully Tesla offers more models and most of them are more affordable. The first showroom is now open in Mumbai and there's another one opening soon in New Delhi. And it should go without saying by now, but one of Tesla's goals is always going to be gathering more data, which is exactly what Tesla will be able to do in India as they enter the market over the back half of this year. But overall, given the limited infrastructure and limited demand at luxury prices, we should temper our expectations for what this market will mean to Tesla's deliveries over the next 6 to 9 months. but there's certainly immense potential over the long term for Tesla to help build the infrastructure in India, not only on the auto side, but on the energy side as well. What else is changing quickly at Tesla? Well, the Robotaxi Network expansion. And who said Tesla didn't have any marketing tricks up its sleeve or in its pants? I mean, I had to say something, right? But the great news is we can now actually say that Tesla's service area is indeed bigger than Waymo's in Austin after just 3 weeks. And look, to the critics, I'll grant you, sure, there's still a safety monitor, so if you're not gonna count it, I hear you. I don't agree, but let's just let this story keep unfolding. As we've been saying all along, I really think this is a sign of things to come. Would it surprise anyone if Tesla expanded the service area again in another 3 to 4 weeks? I don't think it should. But look, Waymo started offering free rides in Austin in October of last year, and its first paid ride through partnership with Uber wasn't until March of this year in Austin. Meaning, no, Waymo has not been in the Austin market now for 5 years like I saw people saying. But we all know the question needs to be asked: if Waymo is as safe as they say it is, why are they not expanding it faster? Well guys, I'll tell you why. It's because they can't. And they can't because of how they decided to try to solve this problem. Which, yes, is what we've been saying all along, so now we just sit back and watch this unfold over the next 12 plus months. By the way, this also means that unless Tesla was talking to SMR offline and staged this whole thing, then in just over 2 weeks, Tesla said, hey, that seems like a cool idea, let's just implement this real quick. Geographic expansion-wise, I think things are moving a bit faster than most were expecting. As Elon said, there is a new price point. We're now up to $6.90 per ride. I have not heard any official word on vehicle expansion. In terms of units in the active fleet, they're still not operating on the highways. And on that point, it turns out the Austin airport does not allow driverless vehicles to do pickups or drop-offs. So Tesla's gonna need to find a way around that eventually. Another big milestone I think we should all be rooting for is when the Robotaxi service actually opens up to anyone moving beyond just invite only. That would mean having the app live and available for anyone to download at any time. Because right now it's still invite only and in the test flight stage. And listen guys, very critically, Tesla still has some work to do to actually remove the safety monitor. Here's part of why.
You know, to be completely honest, there was one incident that I did not get on camera, but we were waiting at a light, and there was also a railroad crossing right by that traffic area. And as we were waiting, the lights came on for the train to come by, and the the arm started coming down, and the Robotaxi did not see that, and the safety observer had to do a stop of the vehicle until the train had passed. And so I would say that there's a little bit of that work that still needs to be polished up.
So how exactly did the safety driver intervene? I'm not sure. Joe did not clarify. But clearly, this is a situation that could have led to a disaster if there was no safety monitor in the vehicle. And look, in no way am I trying to defend Tesla here. I'm just thinking out loud. To defend Tesla a bit here, we don't know for sure what the vehicle would have done if it came into contact with the railroad crossing arm. My point is, to everybody acting like this would 100% have been a fatal accident, I don't think we can go that far. But yes, of course, it could have been an absolute disaster, and Tesla should be further along than this at this point, in my opinion. So Tesla, send the fleet, send all of the validation vehicles to the train tracks, and get this sorted out as soon as possible. And the good news is, we can be quite confident that this is exactly what Tesla will do. The Robotaxi app has received some updates. You can now see walking directions to pick up and your final destination. Your search results will show if the destination you're going to is going to close near your arrival time, and you can now edit your destination after booking, which was heavily requested by the early users. Farzad shared a screenshot of one of his rides, and the consensus right now is that the mileage it shows does actually include the miles the vehicle has to drive to get to your location for pickup. We'll see if Tesla changes that in the future or keeps it, but hopefully makes it a bit more clear in the app. It's not a huge deal yet, but it's going to be in the near future, that dollar per mile calculation. Just a little fun anecdote from the end of this video from Farzad. He was riding in a Robotaxi and he had the wrong destination. There are multiple Torchy's Tacos locations in Austin and Farzad had chosen the wrong one. But him and Josh started talking about it during their ride, and the Robotaxi service, without saying anything, just changed the destination for them. Now, how did they know what the right Torchy's Tacos location was? I don't know, maybe Farzad's ride history. And this likely won't be a thing into the future because remember, the ability to edit your destination is coming to the app. But a good reminder, Tesla is listening, watching, and learning. Farzad also said that for now, that buggy option of drop me off early that was causing some issues with other riders has been removed for now. And is anybody else as eager as me to 1, get the software update with Grok, or 2, to watch some Robotaxi rides where they use Grok in the vehicle during the trip? There are plenty of creative options out there. Not only is Tesla sending out emails about Grok now being available, but they're advertising it on the main ordering pages. This will be in software 2025.26, and remember, Grok will only be available on vehicles with an AMD processor. You can check that in the UI of your car or right through the app using the Tesla Assist feature. This is hands down my most anticipated software update.
And basically, what will happen is once you update it, you'll get Grok being available, and if you open it up, you'll see there's a couple of different options. So that's what's the lazy mode, which is kind of funny. It's very cheeky. Or you can go with the typical, aura, very upbeat mode. It's a long trip, and let's say you need to Google something, instead of having to go in here and search something, which is super dangerous, obviously, while you're driving. Now you can just search something, Hey, what's the distance from San Jose, California to LA?
It's about 350 miles from here to Los Angeles, depending on the route. Driving usually takes around 5 to 6 hours.
Speaking of software updates, in case you missed it, 2025.26 has some other gems too. Not just Grok, which will be US only to start. And yes, as expected, Grok will not be able to issue commands to your car yet, but I'm very confident that will come in time. That's because officially, this version of Grok is still beta. There's now light sync for the new Model 3 and Y, the 26 Model S and X, and the Cybertruck, where the interior accent lights now respond to music and you can choose to match the lights to the album's color. You can now save presets for your audio settings. You can now zoom or adjust the playback speed of the dashcam viewer. And we've already talked about the others, like more information about charging upon arrival and a new Tesla onboarding guide. And how about this? Now when Sentry mode is recording, the accent lighting will now turn red. I'd expect this version to start going out at scale by later this week. What I'm about to say is going to offend some people, but I just think it needs said. When people complain about AG1 and specifically the price, I just roll my eyes internally because I know most people spend well over $70 every month on essentially garbage. Whether it's cigarettes, alcohol, candy, pop, DoorDash, or whatever else, they won't say a word about any of that. But when it comes to spending a bit of money on one of the highest quality products out there that can help you live a healthier life, they'll cry foul. So to me, that's just ridiculous. Also, I've never ever said this is a cure-all or in any way is meant to replace whole foods. AG1 is the sponsor of this video, but I'll be the first to tell you, eating and sleeping well should be toward the top of everyone's priority list, and then things like AG1 are just meant to fill in the gaps and help keep you on track. I've never really shared why I'm so adamant about taking care of your body. You guys know I was diagnosed with a parasite, but what you don't know is how it eroded my quality of life for years. Multiple times a week, I'd have to get in bed because my stomach pain was so bad. Most days I had no energy. I was scared to eat most foods for fear of how my body would react. I could go on, but I was smacked with the reality of what I wanted to prioritize, which is my health and energy levels. AG1's next gen formula has so much goodness in it: vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and superfood derivatives that should help to boost your energy levels, your immune function, support your hair, skin, and nails, and from my point of view, perhaps most importantly, help to support your digestive system and your gut microbiome. All I'd encourage you to do is to try it out for yourself for a few months and see what you think. You can head to drinkag1.com/electrified or use my QR code on the screen to get 5 travel packs and a 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 for free. Cheers. Next up for Tesla's transformation is the voting that we're likely going to have when it comes to Tesla and xAI later this year. Thankfully though, Elon has mostly taken this merger option off the table. An X account posed the question, do you support a merger between xAI and Tesla? To which Elon said no. Another account said Tesla needs to be able to invest in xAI, otherwise it's not fair to Tesla retail investors. To which Elon said, it's not up to me. If it was up to me, Tesla would have invested in xAI long ago. We will have a shareholder vote on the matter. And if you've been on board with this since day one, that first line from Elon feels like salt in the wounds. It sounds like this delay was not Elon's doing, but it begs the question, what was the board dragging its feet about? And SpaceX has decided to invest $2 billion into xAI. Holmar said it would be great if Tesla could do that, to which Elon said it would be great, but subject to board and shareholder approval. This whole situation is a bit frustrating, I will admit, as a shareholder. I'll explain why momentarily. But on why the merger situation is a hard no, I think it should be obvious. We've seen Elon's frustrations with dealing with the downsides of taking a company public. Not only that, but over the next 5 to 10 years, there would almost definitely be antitrust concerns. There would be a massive new attack vector for lawsuits. And not that they would be legit, but neither of these companies need anything slowing them down. They're going to be a lot more agile and nimble as separate entities. And when it comes to raising money for xAI, which it's likely going to need to do for the next few years at least, given the tens of billions of dollars it's going to have to spend on compute, it just makes way more sense to keep these companies as separate entities. Now, why is this frustrating? Well, July of 2024, Elon asked, should Tesla invest $5 billion into xAI? 68% of 958,000 votes were yes. And Elon said it looks like the public is in favor. We'll discuss with the Tesla board. Well, here's the thing. xAI was valued at about $20 billion at the time of this poll. And by the end of this year, xAI might be worth around $200 billion, which would be a cool 10x. Meaning Tesla's $5 billion investment could have been worth around $50 billion already sometime this year if Tesla's board would have jumped on this right away. But this will be a critical topic, so everybody should get ready to vote on this later this year, so do your homework if you need to. Tesla investing $5 billion in xAI today would give Tesla roughly a 2 to 3% share of xAI, which of course depends on the valuation at the time. And who knows what the actual terms of the deal will be, if there are any revenue sharing agreements or AI licensing deals, compute sharing deals, etc. And right now, Tesla has about $37 billion in cash and equivalents. So up to a $10 billion investment in xAI would be good in my book, as Tesla wouldn't even be close to needing to issue new shares or to do a debt raise for this investment. Now, in return for Tesla's investment, Tesla would likely get equity shares of xAI, but since xAI is private, those shares would be much more illiquid since Tesla can't trade them publicly. But Tesla's option would be to sell them later in the secondary market or in a future xAI IPO. So Tesla investors would get access to the equity growth in xAI, and anything beyond that would be laid out in proxy materials before the vote. One way to think about this would be Microsoft's $13 billion investment into OpenAI. But before I say anything, yes, the situation with xAI and Tesla is different given Elon's leadership of both, which allows these cross-company collaborations. that we've already seen without any financial deal in place. But this does raise concerns from some about governance and conflicts of interest. We know xAI and Tesla have already shared engineers, data, semiconductor orders, etc., without needing shareholder approvals. But on the bright side, the Muskonomy situation allows that frictionless or free sharing of resources, whereas Microsoft had to pay for all of the benefits it got from OpenAI. But I do think it's a good thought exercise to consider what a more formal investment from Tesla into xAI might cover. So not only do Microsoft shareholders get access to OpenAI's equity increases, but they also get tech rights, IP rights, and some licensing benefits. Microsoft got the rights to include ChatGPT in its own products like Copilot and Bing. Microsoft got an exclusive license to commercialize OpenAI's tech so it can sell access to OpenAI's models on its cloud platform. Microsoft became OpenAI's exclusive cloud provider, and parts of the Microsoft investment were actually structured as cloud compute credits rather than cash, which gave OpenAI access to Microsoft servers. And lastly, Microsoft was entitled to 75% of OpenAI's profits until it recoups its investment, after which it gets 49% of profits capped at a 10x return. And then of course you have strategic benefits like collaborating on AI research, accessing AI talent, and joint development projects. So we'll be on the lookout for proxy materials to see what this Tesla investment into xAI could secure for Tesla shareholders in addition to just equity appreciation. And since I think most people will vote in favor of this, just keep two things in mind. Let's say Tesla would end up owning about 2.5% of xAI with an investment made this year. That means if xAI becomes a $1 trillion company, Tesla's share would be worth $25 billion on a $5 billion investment. So it's definitely not the same type of slam dunk investment that it would have been a year ago, but selfishly for me, I definitely want access to xAI's upside, and Tesla does not need $37 billion in cash and equivalents sitting idle. Just keep in mind, xAI becoming a $1 trillion company is a long way away since xAI is not yet profitable and has huge capex requirements for compute resources over the next few years, and some projections have xAI doing about $500 million in revenue for this year. And sure, valuations in the AI space are absolutely going to be different for traditional or non-AI companies, but the prudent question to ask would be, where else could Tesla spend that $5 billion and potentially get a 5x return over the next 5+ years? Now, shifting gears to Optimus, if you have not yet tried out Grok 4 and their new avatars, which are called companions, I would take a few minutes to check it out just so you can understand where parts of the world are headed. One account said, "One big step closer to anime girls becoming real." Of course, Elon replied saying Optimus will enable them to be physically real. Elon said Optimus 3 will have agility roughly equal to an agile human. That, of course, is subjective, but I would be expecting a new demo sometime over the next few months. Elon also said Optimus V3 is amazing. Which brings us to this. Sunday night, Elon said just left the Tesla design studio, most epic demo ever by the end of year. Ever. The question now becomes, is this Optimus version 3 or the Tesla Roadster? I'll be honest, every hour I change my mind. For one, I'm like, nope, this is definitely the Tesla Roadster demo in partnership with SpaceX. Then on the other hand, for the next hour, I'm like, yep, this is going to be part of Optimus version 3, specifically some demo with the new hands. Either way, let the hype and excitement build. Yesterday, Elon said he just had dinner at the retro futuristic Tesla diner and supercharger. The team did great work, making it one of the coolest spots in LA. Looking at the images, you'll see Optimus inside attached to a safety tether. Optimus doesn't seem to be doing much of anything in this picture, but once the diner opens, I'm guessing they'll have one or a few doing something. Just take a second to look back on this episode. It's the perfect encapsulation of Tesla, the company many of us have developed a deep, genuine appreciation for over the years. A company that has fun, keeps things light while also being deadly serious about safety. A company that listens and interacts with its customers regularly with a laser-like maniacal focus on continually offering more value to the end customer. A company that's developed the most capable and streamlined, cost-effective AI and inference compute on the planet, and one that brings excitement and hope to the world for a better, sustainable, abundant future. Alexander said FSD transfer for Europe should be standard until regulatory approval is in place. Replying to that, Elon said, "Sounds fair, so I'd be expecting FSD transfer in Europe in the weeks ahead." Understandably, a lot of people out there are saying this Wall Street Journal article about SpaceX investing in xAI is not true. But as you saw earlier in this video, Elon replied to this news and he didn't deny it. Whereas if it was false, he would likely take that opportunity. So for now, given that fact, I'm going with this is actually true. So again, all of these Muskonomy synergies are now being tied financially and officially to help speedrun this AI race for all of Elon's companies. A periodic reminder of Tesla's FSD saving lives, a statistic that will never be accurately tracked. Taylor said his Model 3 saved his family's life as they approached a green arrow to turn left. About 2 weeks ago, we talked about how EV adoption in Japan was lagging the world severely, and today Tesla said they're targeting 50 stores in Japan by 2026, and the long-term goal is 100. Right now, Tesla has 23 stores in Japan, and they're aiming for 30 by the end of this year. The Nikkei said these stores are set to be located in shopping and business centers. Tesla's also planning to expand the supercharger network across the country. And if you needed more proof the EV infrastructure in Japan is lagging, their fast charging standard is CHAdeMO. So now Tesla's going to have a dedicated adapter so Tesla owners in Japan can use the supercharger network and CHAdeMO stations. We got data from Cox Automotive for the US market. EV sales in Q2 were down 6.3% year over year, with a total of 310,800 new EVs sold in Q2. Then zooming out to the year-to-date numbers for the first half of this year, total EV sales in the US are still up 1.5% year over year. The year-over-year decline in Q2 was only the third decline on record. And Cox Automotive is saying what we're expecting, Q3 will likely be a record for EV demand in the US, followed by a collapse in Q4 as the EV market adjusts to the new reality without the tax credits. And listen guys, if there was ever a Mary Barra revenge chart, this would be the one for her. It shows year-over-year volume changes for the first half of 2025 by brand. The biggest increase year-over-year is from GM, and the biggest decline year-over-year is from Tesla. Now yes, Tesla's Q1 and Q2 was impacted by the changeover to the new Model Y, but as we've seen in these brand battles, people don't care about the context. They only care about the narratives they can form. But hey, there is a silver lining. The used EV market is now the shiny new thing. Retail used EV sales surpassed 100,000 units in Q2, a new record, and growth is accelerating. And we know the $4,000 credit for used EVs is going away as well, but research from Cox Automotive is showing that only about 1/3 of used EVs qualify for that incentive anyway. The expectations for EV market share in the US at the end of this year was around 10%, but now the EV market share is expected to close the year around 8.5%. Meaning EV volumes would be mostly flat year over year. Tesla's VP of Sales, Service, and Delivery in North America, Troy Jones, has left the company. Now, why did Troy leave Tesla? Well, my guess would be the very next line. He had been with Tesla for 15 years. Just a quick reminder, all of the following people have also left Tesla over the past few years, and the company continues to make progress. Zach Kirkhorn, Rohan Patel, Drew Baglino, Martin Vieca, Rebecca Tanucci, Daniel Ho, Milan Kovacs, Omiyad Afshar, and now Troy Jones. And yes, there were others, but as always, no, this does not have to mean something more is going on or that Tesla is in trouble. This account on X, TCM Esla, which frankly I would not put any trust in, did say the 6-seater refreshed Model Y has already rolled off the production line at Giga Shanghai. They said the C-pillar has been altered, providing more headroom for the third row. The wheelbase is confirmed to be longer, about 15 to 20 centimeters, which on the longer side would be about 7.8 inches. The second row seats have perforations, suggesting they might offer ventilation, whereas the third row seats do not. And the wheel design also differs from the current model. So has Tesla finally released a true third row variant for the Model Y? It sounds like we might find out in the next week or two. For what it's worth, I'm going to be Thomas here and say I'll believe it when I see it. Starting July 30th, Lucid Motors will be offering hands-free drive assist and hands-free lane change assist, and it'll be available on Lucids with Dream Drive Pro. As expected, this will only be on compatible divided highways, which means a pre-mapped highway with a center divider. Listen to what MKBHD just said.
Somebody asked about the Tesla Robotaxi thing, and I have the Tesla Robotaxi app here on my phone, so there's a little teaser.
Why would you have that, Marquez?
Yeah, you know, it's just testing. I'm just testing it out. Here's a new area that they're doing service in.
Did they do that on purpose?
Yes, of course they did.
Personally, I'm not really interested in MKBHD's opinion of Tesla these days, but I would be expecting a video on the Robotaxi Network soon. And for those of you wondering what I was up to yesterday, all I'll say for now is Ashley and I decided to celebrate life's milestones and be intentional about appreciating each chapter of life as it comes, as I have a tendency to just rush to the next thing. So before we enter a sprint in this next chapter of our lives, we just had a little weekend getaway and ended up at a Tesla location, and we'll just say some things happened. I'll keep you posted, but what I'm getting at is I was not expecting the outcome going into yesterday, so we ended up getting home a lot later than anticipated, but it was for good reason. Tesla stock closed the day at $310.78, down 1.93%, while the NDX was up 0.13%. The volume was 29% below the average. Don't forget to check out AG1's Next Gen formula for those interested using my link below. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video. If you did, you can find me on X linked below. And a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.